Ezekiel was supposed to be a priest. I think he was supposed to be ordained at 30. At 30, he said in the book. At 30. But when he was supposed to be ordained as a priest, that is when they were taken captives. That is when the things were destroyed. That's when everything turned upside down. So he didn't get to be a priest. So better than that, than a man laying hands on him to call him, now you are a priest of the Most High God. Instead, God ordained him to be a prophet. It looked like he missed it because he wasn't ordained to be a priest. But instead, with all of this exile and captivity, God made him a prophet. Why they don't accept Ezekiel? Because in the book of Ezekiel, the speaking of angels and how God shows things, it wasn't accepted so easily because the way he described things was different. When the physical temple was destroyed, then the spiritual temple was created. The spiritual temple, they call it mystic imagination, but it's actually there in the beginning, in the times of Exodus with Moses. The people were so much in the sanctuary and in the temple that they forgot that God first showed Moses that revelation. So all of the people that were supposed to be priests and went into exile and they were scattered, and that they lost their calling. I'll go into it on another time. It is believed the temple was destroyed, then the spiritual temple started from that and mysticism, and then out of that they have the Kabbalah, and then they get Jewish witchcraft, and then out of the Kabbalah and the Ob, then we get the Obia. We get all witchcraft started at the time of Ezekiel. It branched out because they had no temple. When the temple was destroyed, the idolatry went rampant. It went rampant. So they don't take his books, because in his book he speaks about angels that no one else speaks about in the Bible. And that is the one that I met. Ezekiel chapter 1. You go to verse 15, 16, there he talks about the wheels. Can we see it in my last minute? He talks about the wheels. Now, this thing that he's talking about and the way he describes things, at this time, there wasn't such a group. After this time, when the temple was destroyed, and then you had some people who were trying to preserve things and get things back together. After this horrible time of the temple, physical temple being destroyed, out of this then is where we first have this group called Pharisees. They were never there before. They came out of this time. A Pharisee is one who interprets the thing. That is the meaning of a Pharisee. So this group came out. And this group, they were very zealous about keeping the things of the law, but they weren't so spiritual. And then another group out of the house of Zadok came the Sadducees. Now the Sadducees were priests, but they weren't spiritual. So if you read it in the New Testament, the Sadducees and the Pharisees didn't get along, because the Sadducees, they don't believe in angels and resurrection. They don't believe in spiritual things. The Sadducees, they don't take in Ezekiel's book. So the books that we look at in our Bible, they don't regard those books, because they don't believe that a man can be seeing these angels and this. But what Ezekiel describes in his book, that Galgilim I spoke about here maybe a good number of times that I met that thing. It's a traveling angel. And this Galgilim, it's right there in the Bible. In Moses' time, I will show you later. In Elijah's time, I will show you. It's there continuous times in the Bible. But nobody sees it because of where it's positioned. Can I show you? Ezekiel 1:14. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. You know the living creatures? Have you heard of them? Okay. And I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with 4 faces. Okay. And the appearance of the wheels and their work was also like the color of beryl, and they 4 had one likeness, and the appearance of their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Now, we see living creatures, the cherubims. Now, we know the living creatures and we know the cherubims, but what connects those two? What is pushing those two? And what Ezekiel said, their spirit is in them, is the wheels. The wheels are angels. The wheels are angels. They're called ophanims. That is the one that I always say, Galgilim. That is the other Hebrew name for it. because Galgalim is connected to Gilgal. It's the wheel, the turning place, whirlwind, thing that goes around. This angel there, if you watch the vision of Ezekiel, they were moving around, fire was moving in and out of them, and then all of this, and then all of a sudden the throne appeared, and they were holding up the throne. They were under it, holding up the throne, and the one who was sitting on the throne, all the lightning that was on his face, all these amazing things. We look at this prophet and say, this is a deep vision. But the Sadducees, they don't respect it, they don't take it. The priests, they don't take it. The pastors, they don't like it. The ministry that is most fought is the prophetic. They say this is mythology and mysticism. For you to say, Mama, I see an angel beside you, someone will be sitting there and say that's mysticism. They don't believe it. When the physical temple was destroyed at that time, they say that is the birth. That is the birth of all of the belief of these angels and things, because they had no physical building. The angels were always there. Spiritual, they were always there. So why is it that they don't accept these books?